Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host, Tone Vase. Lots of crazy action in the market over the last 24 hours. It started immediately after I got off the stream with Da Vinci yesterday. I hope you guys check it out. It was definitely different. I do listen to which traders people like to have me on for new traders. And that's why I ask so many questions about a trader's experience in trading, how they learned it, when they learned it, and how they trade, because I am just not familiar. So the Da Vinci trading Bitcoin in I guess interview and cooperation, that was very different and a little unexpected. Like I was not aware of how many shitcoins he actually has. I was not aware of his trading strategy. I didn't really know that much, even though I did meet him on the cruise. He's an awesome guy to hang out with, a lot of fun. And I thought he did great on the show, considering my trollish nature. And I hope he's a good sport about it. And I really hope he comes back. I would love to invite him back towards the end of the year, most likely, and we can reevaluate his 300 shitcoin position. And that would be absolutely awesome. All right, so for today's show, we are going to jump into the markets somewhat quickly. So let's welcome Joe Saz back to the program. And there was a specific reason why I wanted to have Joe Saz on here today. And I'll mention that right after his brief intro. Go for it, man.
Hello, everyone. Joe Saz here. Analyst.
I think your audio is a little low.
Oh,
maybe it's on my end.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's my bad.
Analyst at Block TV. My show is Traders Take, so be sure to tune in to blocktv.com for that. And just a day trader and always connected to this market, probably more than I should be. So
here's Block TV. You can find Joe on there. Are you on there like every day or like 3 times a week?
3 times a week is what we're at right now.
Okay, yeah, so you can find them there 3 times a week in their Traders Take section. You can follow Joe on Twitter as Joe_Saz. Hey, Joe, so after I got off that stream, I had a bunch of other stuff to do. I did like a radio show interview and stuff like that. But then I actually met up with you yesterday, and that was around 3 o'clock. And the moment I walk in, you're there on your computer. And I'm like, dude, you must be loving it because you've been short this market for what feels like forever. And I was getting a little nervous about your positions the other day. I know you went short at around 10,800, and then we fell down to 10,000, but then we were rising towards 10,500. And I was like, oh man, how are your shorts doing? And you held through it. You added to your positions. You've been waiting for this $10,000 breakdown, just as I have been. So must have been, no one wants to see Bitcoin go down, especially Bitcoin maximalists like us. But at the same time, you got to earn a living. And if you think the market's going to go down, you're going to place a leverage bet to the short side. And I believe and I know yours worked out nicely because I was watching you and your position because we were together yesterday as of like 2 or 3 p.m. In Eastern time zone.
Yeah, that was I think a strategic close, even though we might have gone a little bit lower. I think we bottomed out.
Your close was absolutely perfect, dude. You closed that sucker at like 95.60 or something like that.
Yeah, it was so clean. It was like I checked my phone and then I ran to get my computer, found the Wi-Fi password, and I was like, I'm getting out.
We can say where we were. I mean, it's not a secret. I did try to do a whole event there after consensus, though not a lot of people showed up, though some showed up. We were at the Russian bathhouse on Wall Street.
Yeah, it was great. They have Wi-Fi there.
Thank God they have good internet there, and you can bring out your computer. Oh, did I lose you?
I'm back. I think there's something going on, but
it could be me. My internet's spotty. So if I recall it correctly, you literally got out like right here on this down spike. I'm looking at the 15-minute chart.
Yeah, you're pretty much right there.
As luck would have it, I was literally on the train getting there. So like this entire drop took place while I was on the train, And then I run into the place and we're literally and I think we were right here on this candle. And you're like, yep, I already got out right there. And you showed it to me.
Yep. That was a really clean move. And that's the thing is like, I'm pretty proud of that position because 10K was really, really, really strong. And we just kept consolidating there. And the order book kept getting more and more robust. So I got to say, this was one of those calls where you really had to stick to your guns, like despite the emotion and I'm communicating to all the traders out there too, that like this is a very emotional game and a volatile asset. It really brings out the worst in you at times. So holding in that area was so stressful. Going to sleep, like when's the next pump gonna be? What is like what could happen? And so I'm pretty glad I stuck to my guns. I really didn't see any buyers. I saw a lot of spoof wars, and so just to be able to wash my hands of that short and recollect myself is a great feeling. It's always a good feeling to exit a position in profit and then reevaluate for the next one.
And you continue to love the TD sequential on this 15-minute chart. And right before the big crash, there was a spike. And I'm looking at it now for the first time, actually, because I haven't looked at this chart at all, because I didn't even look at it yesterday because the show with Da Vinci was at a completely different level. So right here, there was this spike to the upside that made the top at 10,300, and that was on a 9 sell. And then from there, we had a huge drop down, and we did have a 9 buy that didn't go anywhere, just went up for a couple of candles, clearly didn't even approach setup trend. And that was a price flip 9, so not a major one. And now we eventually bottomed in this drop. I can't wait to go look at the daily charts in relation to the triangles. But we finally bottomed right here, and it happened right off the 9 buy. And I don't believe you went short again. You were just, hanging out, like enjoying your other one. And we'll talk about what your plans are next. After we go through the higher level time frames, we'll give another 15-minute candle or two to reevaluate. But yeah, dude, congratulations, man, because I've been following your trade this whole time, and you're on the show about twice a week. So everyone's been aware. And this is where I want to go. I don't even want to go to the weekly chart. I am frustrated with the weekly chart myself because I didn't want the weekly chart to break down this week. I really wanted the weekly chart to break down next week in the same way that we just did. So the weekly chart broke down too early, but that should not have stopped the breakdown of the daily triangle. And this is where the problem kind of shows up right here, because we broke down this triangle and we closed below it. So this breakdown actually counts. Yeah. The target from this small triangle is calling for $8,000, give or take, a few $100 here or there. But, and here's a big but, there's triple support right here in this vicinity. You have the 128-day moving average, which may seem random, but in Bitcoin, it has been very, very useful and critical. You have the bottom of the descending triangle, which I think is the most critical of them all. And then you have this setup trend line, which is broken for the time being, but who knows what's going to happen by end of day. And I think this is a good enough support. And I find this support to be stronger than the forces from this little triangle driving us down to $8,000 here in August or early September. Your thoughts?
Yeah, all right. So we're looking at the macro picture being the daily. The accelerating triangle within the descending triangle, I think, is really important to take note of. We did break down. We're closing below the continuation of the trend line in that descending triangle. I think, all right, so I'm listening to all these technical indicators, and they sound great. But the one thing that concerns me the most is when I'm trading, the things that I focus on most are the order book and the trade history. And if the order book is a spoof war and there's people flashing up 100 Bitcoin buy walls and sell walls, and there's 0.002 Bitcoin buys on the trade history, there really isn't much going on. And right now, that's what I'm seeing in the actual battleground of this asset. We have literally massive breakdowns, and no buyers are stepping up to the plate, not even some sort of liquidity check or a little whale shakeout. I mean, it's looking really grim to me right now. So I'm not going to really rest any support on some of these technicals just yet, because I want to see buyers get enthusiastic about this price. But it really doesn't seem like they're really interested. I mean, I've been watching the order book quite a bit this morning, and I'm just not seeing any buyers that are really willing to soak up the value at this price, other than buy the effing dippers and hodlers, of that nature. That's not enough money, in my opinion, to prop the price. And on a technical level, if we're talking about what I believe to be the case, which is there really are only traders trading in this space. There's no new money, no fresh blood. There might be some paycheck money on Fridays. There might be some stacking sats movements. But as far as new money is concerned, that's what we need to really pump us up. And I'm not seeing it right now. I'm just right now I'm not seeing it. And we do have a long time before this daily close. And even if we dunk our head below the water on this descending triangle, I'm not going to be 100% ready for the breakdown. But I mean, I will be if it looks like it is. But I still think that we have a little bit more time to consolidate, build up a momentum back to the top. But again,
Joe, sorry, I got to interrupt you. Can you just double check your audio settings? People in the live chat are saying that your audio is a lot lower than mine. Just make sure you're using the right microphone.
yeah, I'm going to kind of hold it out like this a little bit. I'm going to turn off my VPN just in case that's an issue. Got me?
No, I hear you, but just double check in the microphone setting. Make sure you're using the microphone you actually want to use. Sometimes Zoom just like sets your camera to be the microphone instead of the microphone that you should be using. It happened to me yesterday. I was using a portable JBL microphone instead of my actual clip-on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm checking the settings now, and on is set to yeah, it looks like it's set to the
right microphone.
It should automatically be this one. Let's see here. You know what? Let me just pull this closer on the off chance that my computer is also. I can't fidget with too much stuff right now.
Actually, no. Now we're getting reports that audio is fine. Okay, so sorry to interrupt you. Go on if you remember where you were.
Yeah, pretty much just that. In order for me to be convinced of anything bullish or bearish right now, I really want to see buyers step up to the plate. And I'm watching the order book, paying close attention. We're looking at these really bearish responses to what could potentially be a bullish opportunity. And it's really making me feel like that accelerated trend line within the descending triangle could lead us to a quicker breakdown to those lower targets. And I think 8,000 is good along the way, but I still think that that we're looking at potentially much lower price targets than that. Bitcoin has, we might take the elevator down. If there's no buyers, then sellers are going to just compete to sell, and stacking sats won't save us.
Yeah, so going back real quick, so here's one more negative force. So this is what I mean. This is a really tough spot for Bitcoin. This $9,400 to $9,500 zone, it has great support. Like I already said, the setup trend line, which if we pull back up to 9,600, the setup trend line has not been broken. The setup trend line is only broken at the close of candle basis. The 128-day moving average, which has been very, very critical to Bitcoin in the past, it may or may not still be so today. The bottom of the descending triangle is very, very critical support. Those are three significant support levels. On the downward forces, you have the breakout of the small descending triangle, which is calling for an $8,000 target in a relatively quick order, maybe a few weeks of time. And I didn't mention, because I didn't see it because my chart was zoomed out too much, the TD sequential. This is the perfect time to short. When you have a red 2 going below the red 1, breaking the bottom of the descending triangle. This is the short that if I was actively trading in the market, I would wait all year for this. And this is where I'm leveraged to the gills. Okay, like I would be patient and I would wait for this situation. This is my perfect trade. It would have been even more perfect if I get the same thing over here, let's say around early October, with the red 2 daily breaking down from the big symmetric triangle, and by then we would be below yet another moving average. So it could have been even better, but this is what I want to see. So there are, bearish forces here trying to take this thing down to 8,000. There is also good enough support. If I was not short, if you missed a short trade here, this is not the time I would want to short. Like today is not the time to short. Today is also not the time to go long. So Joe, do you have any trades on right now? And what are you waiting for? Actually, before you answer, let me just very quickly glance at the 12-hour chart.
Mm-hmm.
And the 12-hour chart is coming up on its very critical support point, being at 9,200. So perhaps we won't actually make it there today. It is still holding its setup trend line, and you're near the bottom of this. So I don't really want to spend too much time on it. And the reason why I want to look at the 4-hour chart is because of this monster channel. Oh, the 4-hour chart is sitting on a very critical line as well that I must have drawn a long time ago. And the 4-hour chart is in this ridiculous channel that is calling for even sub $8,000 prices. And it's sitting at its midpoint of the channel with horizontal support. So right now, it looks like everything is sitting at support. And I would rather be long right now than short. However, I would know that this long is in a bearish trend and it would have the shortest leash ever.
Yeah, I actually, so to answer your question, yes, before I went to bed, I threw up a little short. I did a little video for my Telegram followers.
Oh, so you got this drop right here.
Yeah, I caught it.
Did you get out on the green 9?
I'm not out yet. I'm not out yet.
You're still short.
I'm still in profit. I got in at I wish I could pull it up, but I was looking at it. But the thing is, Tone, I only threw up a tiny bit of money, no leverage. I was just like, I'm just gonna put something up, and I have something there. It's still in the money, so I'm cool with that. I'll just close it out. It's really not that much profit, and it's not that much loss if I break. It was like no money whatsoever. It was basically just like a
just to be in the market. It's kind of like, hey, my friend is over here playing blackjack for $500 a hand, but the minimum is $5. I'm bored. I'm gonna sit next to him and play $5 hands.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I feel like it's really important as a trader to keep your skills, for me, this is what I do every day, so it's like I have to keep my skills sharp. And when I see something, I have to learn to objectively act on it. And I felt like, after that excellently amazing day yesterday, just hanging out, just having great conversations, eating good food, healing our bodies in the bathhouse. It was like I came back home with a pretty clean head, and I saw, I was just like, I think this is looking bad, because keep in mind, I pay so close attention to the order book and the trade history, and I just
all right. So if I had to guess, you would have gone short right at this breakdown right here around the same time you took your profits earlier that day.
Yeah, pretty much it. And I'm still in the money, and I don't have the exact numbers because, like I said, this was like a late night. This is after I got home from the bathhouse and did a video for like an hour. So this is like a trade that I entered at. It might have been like 1 a.m. or something like that. So what was 1 a.m.?
Well, this is on UTC time. So this is the it's probably like around here actually. This is 6 a.m. So that would have been probably 1 a.m. in New Jersey. Yeah. I can change the time zone to New York time.
Right around there. It was like 1 or so a.m. when I entered that position. And like I said, it's just a trade, like you said, a $5 kind of trade to play blackjack with your friends. But yeah, I'm happy that of course, like, there's always another trade, guys. Don't ever get greedy. Don't ever feel like you missed the boat. When it comes to shorting, if you make the right decision, it could be a big win. You could really make one trade be the trade that you need to make, and you could walk away. Bitcoin's definitely going to the moon long term. So if you're shorting the market and you make that a great trade, then by all means step away and chill, take a break. But you know, I this is what I do, and this is a service that I provide to clients. So I make sure that I keep my skills very, very sharp.
Yeah, no, I would have considered getting out of that short on this 9.
Yeah, I was asleep though. Like
Yeah, you were
that was,
asleep, right?
I might have been taking my son to daycare around then.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
it's
no,
like,
no, no. This was 7:45 UTC. So this we're talking like an hour
oh,
or two after you took the trade.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that like I was definitely asleep for that. I mean, traders got to sleep, guys. Try to sleep. You know, crack your eye open, sleep with one eye open. But you know, there's some part of your body that just refuses, and you're out for the count. So that was me during that little dump.
Oh yeah, I need
I
to clear. I need to clear something up. Sorry. Did you have something else to say?
I just wished I saw the breakthrough the 9,500 sell buy wall. If that 9,500 buy wall, if anyone saw it, I would have loved to have got the information from that. I wanted to know, was it stops that really ate the entire wall, or was it just a full blown violent downswing? So I wish I had that information. I don't have that data, but that's the only thing I'd say is if that was a trigger of stops, then I think we're going to go sideways a little bit more. If that was a violent breakdown and there weren't too many stops in the 9,500 area, because that's where the biggest support was after 10K, then that probably means, like I said, if it was more like a violent breakdown, then then what we're looking at is probably a little bit more neutral action than full blown bearish action. So on to you, Tone. I interrupted.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So people are very confused as to what I think of the market right now. Is tone bearish or is tone bullish? So I wanna clear it up. Remember, my opinion of what the market is going to do is irrelevant to the market. I want you guys all to keep this in mind. Okay.
Yeah, while you're doing that, there's one thing I wanted to add that 10K was great support, but so that's why the bottom of this descending triangle, I'm not as confident about it as I am now after the massive consolidation at 10K breaking. So that's just one thing that I'd like to add, that it's very possible we break down from this thing earlier, because 10K, it started getting thick with buy orders and it just got crushed. So I think that's what a big seller is looking for. A big seller likes to see big, robust order book on whichever side they're trying to consume. So I'm just wanted to take note of that.
Okay, here is my opinion of the most probabilistic future for Bitcoin going into October. Does Bitcoin have to do this? Absolutely not. Bitcoin can crash down to $3,000 tomorrow. Bitcoin can also go to $50,000 tomorrow. But if I had to pick one path for Bitcoin going forward, it would be this one. But what does that mean? You see this giant red arrow? That means I have a greater than 50% expectation that Bitcoin is going to fall, and it's going to fall hard. I have no idea when it's going to do that, whether it'll be now or whether it be around my critical date of October 5th. For more on October 5th, I will try to write up an article sometime before October 5th, right? Now, right now, I see the current area as very significant and critical support and strong enough support to overwhelm the downside pressure from the smaller descending triangle. So I am looking for a bounce here, then maybe scare people and get the shorts all interested in shorting 9,500 again, and then we're going to hit the top of the triangle. I am looking for one more hit of the top of the triangle. I do think Bitcoin will rise above $10,000 before an eventual breakdown. And this breakdown is going to be very, very scary. And the closer this breakdown is to the halving, the scarier it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, and I'm also going to add that the second we break that accelerated triangle within your triangle, the where your first green arrow is, that if we break that line, then we're definitely headed back to the top of the triangle. I'm putting my money on that for sure. Yeah.
So as a trader, here's what it means. If I if I had a longer term position, like a position trade or a long-term swing trade, I would be short with very little leverage because I know that I'm short and I'm short early. This is like the short that I did at 6,000 last year, right? So if I was short right now, I would be short with a larger position at low leverage. But as a short-term day trader, short end swing trader or scalper, I would rather be long with very high leverage, but a very tight trigger. Because if it goes up, it's going to go up a little. So I want to take advantage of that with high leverage, but very tight stop loss. But if it goes down, it's going to go down a lot. And therefore, I can add to my position when I'm sure that it's going down. And I want that with low leverage because I'm giving my trade the room to go all the way up to 10,800 without endangering my long-term short trade. So it really depends on what kind of a trader you are. On a short-term level with high leverage, I'd rather be long. On a longer term, on a medium-term scale, I'd rather be short with low leverage. But as a hodler, I just want to keep stacking sats.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the most important things I tell people is have a hodl stack, a DCA stack, and then whatever you trade with, that's your trade stack. And if you lose it, you're done. Your DCA stack is all you got left, and that's what you use to buy Bitcoin. Like if you're trading and you're messing up that bad, then you stick to DCA, and that's the rest of your life in investing in Bitcoin. And keep it simple and stay safe. I mean, that's the best. Like honestly, the best way to invest in Bitcoin, I think, is DCA. Obviously, the best thing would be to go all in at a bottom and all out at a top. But I mean, the DCA is the only way that you can guarantee returns on Bitcoin on the long-term time scale that we all are here to and believe in. But yeah, I'm wondering how long this is going to be drawn out. This is a really tough space. And without buyers, I'm just not seeing any enthusiastic buying activity. I thought the low 9,000 range would be some shakeout, maybe a pump or something where whales or the market would want to shake out some over leveraged shorts or something like that. And actually to touch base on leverage, I agree with you. I think most people should be entering positions probably spot and then build as you build confidence in your position. That's such an important rule that I have. There's like certain levels of risk that I'm willing to take on different accounts that I have. But the main point is that Bitcoin is so uncertain. Start with the liquidation price of 0. And then if you get a move in the wrong direction, then reevaluate your position. You can always exit at like very minimal loss, or you can add to your position if you're like, oh yeah, this was my bounce target. I just wanted to have skin in the game, and we bounced to 9,800. So now I'll add 5x, and then we come back to 96 or 9,500. I'll add another couple 2x to my position and then ride it out. So there's definitely a lot that people need to do to understand Bitcoin's risky, and don't get greedy. Don't try to shoot for the moon with a trade like that. Try to catch those breakouts and breakdowns. But we're at a point where the chances of you making it big are probably more on that one bounce off the descending triangle where your red arrow hits and moves into the green arrow. So that's kind of like that move to 10K is probably where I would put a lot of marbles. And then the short from there is probably where I'd put a lot of marbles. But right now, I'm kind of sitting out and waiting to see how we act within the accelerated trend line in the descending triangle.
All right, that was very well said. All right, let's move on. And I do want to glance. I haven't looked at the chart in a while. This is miner revenue. So this was basically back in the day, back when we fell to $3,000. I said this was the best case that the bottom was in for me personally. The fact that miner revenue did reach the prior all-time high, and that's what I was looking for in the price. But because of Bitcoin halvings, the chart could act very, very differently. This was my best case for it. But historically, we have pretty much touched this line more than once. Like even though we only touched it here, we pierced it and then we touched it right before and right after. This was the only time we only touched it once. I do think that this line will get touched again. So in order for this line to get touched, we need another $3,000 Bitcoin or a $6,000 Bitcoin after the halving. So that's one of the ways to touch this line. I believe this line has a high probability of getting touched. Will we fall to 3,000 or lower before the halving? I'd say the odds are slightly against that, but I'm one of the few that hasn't ruled it out. Touching this line immediately after the halving, I think the odds are a little bit greater, and it would be very, very dangerous to go below this line after the halving. Like nobody wants to see a $3,000 to $4,000 Bitcoin after the halving. Before the halving, it's manageable. So I will be keeping an eye on this chart, especially if Bitcoin is going down. The total market cap must have taken a major hit, and it looks like it did. We are back below a critical Fibonacci level, though now I'm not sure where this Fibonacci level is coming from. I don't know why it's here and not there. That's weird. Why was that? Jeez. I need the magnet. There we go. And there we go. Okay. So now that I've used the magnet, now we're looking better. So now oh, wow. So now when you put the Fibonacci's on the correct way, it looks like the rejection of the 9 on total market cap came in the vicinity of this. Now, here's the interesting part. I would not be surprised at all if the total market cap went to new lows in this crypto winter, as they like to call it. But just because the total market cap goes to new lows, that doesn't mean that Bitcoin is going to new lows. This means your bags of shit coins are getting closer and closer to zero, where they actually belong and where they're going to be. Wow, what is going on? It doesn't like it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's close enough. So total market cap is interesting to me, especially if it starts going to a new decline. Now, as far as Bitcoin's dominance is concerned, well, guess what? This entire year, crypto goes up, Bitcoin dominance rises. Crypto goes down, Bitcoin dominance rises. So again, the bag holders of shitcoins, if your shitcoins are worth any money at all, whether it's Dash at $70 or Litecoin at $70 or whatever it's at, or Ethereum, probably still a few $100s, there's still money there. And eventually there will be a mass exodus out of the ones that are still worth more than $10. Now, some people will hold these things to zero because they can't admit that they're holding an asset that is totally useless. But eventually it will. So I am looking for Bitcoin dominance to go back to 90 and above.
There's something interesting. Actually, do you mind if I pull up a chart real quick, the parallel to this concept?
Please.
All right. All right. Here we go. I'm going to share this, and I'm going to pop up my... This was what was really cool to me. This is what I loved to see. I was so happy when I saw this. Bitcoin dominance rose despite the crash, and shitcoins went down. This was like the most beautiful thing that I could see, and this is consistent with our narrative that this could very well be an altcoin exodus. Now, I only have a couple up here. I have XRP, LTC, and ETH. ETH being the highest, looks like Litecoin and Litecoin in yellow and XRP in blue. So I'm a little bit upset about that move in XRP, but I'm just really happy to see that Bitcoin did take a spill. We jumped off a cliff yesterday, and it still rose in market cap. So as long I'll stop screen share now. As long as that keeps happening, I'm going to be really excited. That's just I can't wait to see a lot of these. I thought the actual I call it like the massive consolidation, where we have thousands of altcoins move into 50 or so. I thought we were maybe 2 years away from that. But the more this chart continues to look like that dominance growing, even despite a downward price move, I'm going to be convinced that this might happen sooner than we expected. And me and Tone were talking about this. I feel like even Litecoin's on the chopping block. I know we disagree, and I think it's like possible it could go to zero in this run, and I would be ecstatic if to see some of this garbage just fall apart. But it'll be. I think this is really a good time and a great time to be a Bitcoin maximalist. And overall, just this is going to be excellent to watch.
Yeah, so here's Ethereum. It's really looking like it's in the middle of nowhere, and it had no bounce off of support. Here's Litecoin. Again, this is in terms of Bitcoin. If it's losing in terms of Bitcoin, I can only imagine how much it's getting crushed in terms of US dollars. And you have now Litecoin has fallen below its critical line. Like, who in their right mind would be mining Litecoin when Litecoin goes back to $5? Who the hell, especially after the halving that they had?
Yeah.
This is why it's so dangerous for your coin to go drastically lower than miner revenue after halvings. And this is why it's stupid to create any shitcoin that even has halvings, that even has mining. The only choice you have is to convince the world that the fiat system is good, and you have a proof of stake system printing money for yourself and early adopters. That's the only chance you got. And it's worse. And it's worse than the Federal Reserve because they're more responsible. They have government to answer to, and you don't, as a shitcoin creator like Vitalik Buterin.
Yeah, and the thing that I think is important, like I'm looking at these charts and I hear you. I'm just like, what? I'm just looking at. There's really no support. The support is from the early days, like early 2017, maybe in Ethereum's or Litecoin's case a bit further. But do you consider even those early days all the way on the left side of the screen? Do you consider that support, or is that just like, I feel like...
You know what? I have to, because I'm a creature of habit and I learned to trade before any of this shit existed. Mm-hmm. So like, if I don't consider what happened in the early days support, then I go against my own understanding of TA. So I kind of have to, even though I know, but it's kind of like, hey, Tone, take a look at this. Take a look at this stock. It's worth about 0.0002 cents. It's been trading on the pink sheets for about 5 years. It's totally worthless, but if you zoom in on the x-axis large enough, you can do TA on it, because TA doesn't supposed to care what the asset is or what the time period is. So I care about it because I believe in technical analysis.
Understood. Yeah, that's just kind of a question that I had in my head, because like to me, I just think like the local timescales are so important, because it's almost like memory is easily forgotten. The past is easily forgotten in this space. The one thing people remember probably is $20,000 Bitcoin. So, when I look at these altcoins and I see that historically they're just like, they had maybe some support in years and years ago, I just feel like it's not looking good for them, despite that there might be some support levels from, between $0 and $20 or $50 in the case of Litecoin. But I just feel like it could free fall, so many external variables.
Yeah, and BCH people are, disappearing with their tail between their legs because they're realizing how useless their coin is and how it's going to zero. And it's so frustrating how, like I was telling Jimmy the other day, how much productivity is wasted trying to educate people on fake Bitcoins. Like, explaining Bcash and BCH is about the same as me explaining to people that the tone vase that is messaging them privately on Facebook is not me, it's a scammer. Because why in the world would I spend my time messaging strangers and selling them mining profits? It's the same productivity waste. Explaining that you've been talking to a fake tone vase is about the same as explaining your belief in B-Trash.
Yep. I'm excited to see that one crash too. I think Roger's kind of laying low.
So gold has flattened out a little bit. This is the daily chart. I've been paying attention to the weekly more so. Here's the weekly chart. I do think gold has a chance of making it to 1600 because people are still nervous about the stock market. I'm very curious about the stock market because we just opened New York, it's 9:50 in New York. And wow, what a great day in the stock market. Again, I've been one of the few people consistently bullish on the stock market. And it's amazing how many people hate the fact that the stock market rises, but love the fact that they hate it that the stock market rises, and at the same time they hate the fact that Bitcoin could be falling. Like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. They're both caused by the same forces. The money printing is causing the stocks to rise. The money printing is causing Bitcoin to rise. It's the same exact thing. And this is why all of these gloom and doomers in the stock market continue to baffle me.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I'm gonna have to think about that one a little bit more. I did pull up a compare of SPX against BTC, BLX, I should say, and there were some similarities that I wanted to take a second look at. So as far as correlation is concerned, I think it's possible there's something there more than I realized. So I gotta take another look at that. But I agree with you. In theory, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we're having a very good week in the stock market. And if the stock market can get back up above 29.50, I think new all-time highs, here we come. I mean, I ran out of room on this giant channel that I've had. And I may have to just extend that channel a little bit longer. Like, the market is tricky right now, but I would not be looking for bearish opportunities. I would try to find bullish opportunities. And I keep forgetting to mention the notification service that we have. So in this video description, there's a notification service. And if I just grab a couple of charts that came through the notification service today, a couple of more came in that I haven't even seen. Yeah, here we go. It just came in this morning. This is United Healthcare. Just arrived in the notification service. You can get the link in the video. Oh my God, look at that.
Damn.
Jeez. Jeez, what a beautiful top. When did that take place? That was right before earnings. Anytime there's earnings, it gets tricky. And that was in the middle of July. So in the middle of July, beautiful. Oh, what'd I do? Hold on.
Thing froze or something?
Yeah, I screwed something up. Hold on. There we go. Okay, can you guys see that? Okay. And beautiful, support. It did hit a 9, but it price flipped. Once it breaks the setup trend line, shit usually hits the fan, and it did. And right now, it looks like this stock has found some support. We have just fallen from $270 all the way down to $220. That's a decent chunk. That is what, $6 on 27. So that's a good 15 to 20%. That's almost 20%. That's like 18% that you just fell. For a stock, that's a lot. And now you're on a green 9. So these are the kinds of stocks I would be looking to buy, because if the market is rebounding to new all-time highs, this is the TA that I do. This is the kind of trading that I used to do. These are the kinds of stocks. I'm not saying it would be this one necessarily, but I would be looking for these 9s and 13s at the bottoms, because I'm anticipating the overall market to rise. If I was anticipating the overall market to crash, I would look for these kinds of areas where you get this beautiful 9 after a monster run up, getting rejected by setup trend. So that was in a notification service probably, and it's free right now on Telegram. And this came in 10 minutes ago, that chart. And here's another good one that came in for you currency traders out there. Again, beautiful. This is a huge fall, relatively speaking, in a New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar. And you can see how the sequential 13s have been very, very useful and relevant for gorgeous rallies in the currency markets. And guess what we have now? We have another 13. Now you can say, well, I'm going to go all in on this reversal candle in 13, and then immediately I'm going to lose my money. And that is very, very possible. This doesn't mean that the market has to go up. But what it means to me is this stock has a history of having beautiful reversals off the sequential 13. And if you made a lot of money on this and a lot of money on this, it's not a big deal to have your stop loss hit here because the next one will probably do well.
Yeah, if you're landing 8 out of 10 trades, you're doing good. You know, and if you're doing the same thing, you're repeating the same pattern. The way I put it, which is a bad example, because a broken clock is only right twice a day. But if you keep shifting your shit and you try to new a strategy and add on layers and try to like overcomplicate something that's already working, then it could be the equivalent of a monkey trying to fix a clock, and then the clock's never going to be ever right. It's only going to. I'd rather be have a mechanism that's right twice a day than one that isn't right at all. So this is like you see some obvious payouts here. And even on that, you have an aggressive 13 leading into the sequential 13 on that far left side of the screen, and you have the same build right now off of a 9 buy
exactly.
Aggressive. Yeah, this is looking pretty clean.
Yeah. Look, and the downtrend came off. Oh wait, that was a 9 buy, so it continued going down.
Yeah.
This is not new. But look at this top marked by a 9 that turned into a huge crash. This one, not so great. Did it lead to more downside? Yes. Was this an easy trade to make? Not really, right? Because you went higher the next day. But this one, straight down, this 9 did nothing. This 9 did almost nothing, but it was coming up on some 13s. But I like the 13s here. And this is why we don't notify on the aggressive 13 because it's not usually all that great. But I do like the sequential and I do like the combo in certain cases.
And just to add to the 9s, because this plays a huge role in the 15-minute too. You have to have conservative areas where you're willing to let it ride, but you also so it's like I often say on like when I'm trading 15-minute 9s, I'm not trading the first 3 to 5 minutes of a 9 candle because if on a 9 sell you have momentum going down into a 9 sell, so chances are there's going to be a little bit more bearish action before the trend gets exhausted and then reverses for at least the 1 to 4 candle pullback or potentially into a full 9 count. So I'm looking at these 9s and I'm thinking, as traders, what you need to do is set yourself up for a position where you can say, I'm willing to take maybe even a little bit more of a loss that I'm comfortable with, but get the payout in the end. And that's how I find 9s typically work. It's rare that you get, just beat the heck up with the 9, but, you definitely want to set stops. And if you do everything right, conservative stops. And by that, I mean, I guess as opposed to a tight stop, there's a lot of profit that you can make on sequential if you're a little bit more patient and observe the wider picture.
I'm trying to get, I don't know, like, I know I run too many tabs and I know I have too much stuff open, but I need like 50 tabs for all the law stuff because I'm trying to get a law show going. And let me see if it'll let me open another chart layout. Finally. US stocks watch list. And another one, I didn't have time to comment because I was just busy the last couple of days, but this came in yesterday in a notification service, Mosaic, and that's a beautiful 9, but it was probably in the beginning of the day. So I'm curious how the rest of this day played out and how it's playing out today. This came in the notifications, and it's a double 9, right? It's definitely a double 9. I love the double 9s. I've been keeping an eye on them more and more and more. And I would have bought off of this 9 too, and this trade probably would have exited me break even, and then I could have shorted the countdown phase, which is only on a 7. So this is not the best of 9s to go long on, mostly because it's still in the middle of its countdown phase, but it has a good chance. Let's go and take a look at what it looks like.
I'm taking a look at it right now, Tone, because you said you're having browser trouble. I want to see how we acted on that 9.
Yeah, let's see.
It's looking good.
This box is here from the options webinar where we talked about an options trade where, well, I'm not going to discuss it much, but basically it's an options trade where you're bracketing within the blue lines, but you're profitable within the outside of the box if the trade lasts into here. And if it doesn't, you got to exit early, and you probably still have a chance to exit with a profit. So you can exit with a profit. Anyway, for the options people, maybe I'll keep that box going. So here, what was it? Mosaic?
Yeah. Do you want me to? I could just screen share
No,
if
I
you
got
don't
it.
want to. Okay.
I got it right here. Oh, beautiful. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Good pop.
Look at that. Yeah, and this came through yesterday. And so if you're an equities trader, and not everybody is, I mean, this is why. I mean, yeah, this is why I'm shilling this thing, because it's useful. I wouldn't be building it if it wasn't useful. I'm building something that I used to be a part of, but I no longer am. So now I have to build it myself. Well, I have a team of developers building it, and we will have a subscription to it eventually once it's ready for, commercial use, I guess. Yeah, it looks great. And where would I start considering an exit? Well, right now I'd be raising my stop loss to break even. And right here, this combination of moving average and setup trend line, because this can still only be a 1 to 4 candle correction to the upside, followed by more downside. But I like this. It's a nice beaten up stock. It's fallen enough. We've fallen, wow. So like since December of last year, off of this beautiful 9 right at the top at $37, it became a $17 stock in 9 months. In 9 months, it went from 37 down to 17. This is looking good. It's, I have no idea what Mosaic does. No clue whatsoever.
Yeah.
All I know is this stock used to be worth a lot of money. Another 9 right there at the top, just like this one. This stock used to be worth a lot of money. And even if this company will die, it still probably has at least a couple of bounces left. Look how far away it is from its 200-day moving average. I mean, this would have been a beautiful pickup yesterday. And somebody did, actually. The reason why I remember Mosaic is because somebody texted me this morning, thanking me for this. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because I didn't look at the notifications yesterday because I was busy. So that's great. Beautiful move. For a stock, that's great. All right, guys. I think that's it. I got a lot more stuff to do today. We've got an hour, a little less. Anything else to add, Joe? Any other charts? 15 minutes. We want to take a look at it again?
Yeah, let's take a quick. Want me to share?
Oh, look at this. We got rejected. And I really do want this to go back above 10,000, mostly because I didn't even mention this. Jeez, I do it every time. The Financial Summit, still trying to convince Joe to come out there. I know it's hard. I'm not doxing you. You're the one that mentioned the baby earlier on the show. So I know it's hard to make it all the way to Bali.
Yeah, it's a long flight, and let's just say I need a solid argument to present to my wife in favor of this trip. She's going to be taking care of the baby for a while.
Yeah, we're about to start putting more pictures and names here. I already have a couple of funds committed and are definitely coming. Have a couple of traders that are coming. It's going to be a great time. So check out the Bali event. Or for the Bali event, another good, if we have traders there with profitable strategies that don't necessarily want to work with a hedge fund, if you're a good programmer, that could be an opportunity for you to work with a trader that wants their strategies automated in the market. Check out the calendar of where I'm traveling to, the workshops. We're about to take one more look at the 15-minute chart. Unconfiscatable should be going on sale very, very soon. Just need to, finish up the website and finish up the graphics. And if you want to support this channel, please check out the affiliate page. Okay, guys? Should probably click on it more often. TradingView, TourGuard, US Traders, perfectly legal with eToro and LVL. Deribit, please check your jurisdiction if you are allowed to trade there. There's a global YouTube channel, but it really depends on your jurisdiction if you can or can't trade there. Okay, guys, 15-minute chart, and then we're going to call it a day.
All right, I'll jump into screen share.
You want to do your screen share? Go for it.
Let's see. All right, here we go. 15-minute. All right, what am I looking at? Ooh, this is not. Looking good. All right. So what am I looking at right here? We're definitely testing some low areas. We broke through 9,500, which was very strong support, and we broke through it pretty viciously. Into a 9 buy, we have almost completed a full 9 count. Didn't actually hit it. Trending sideways, a little bit of a spike to the downside. And I just want to take a quick look at the order book to see how we're looking, just so that people can understand the full depth of how to use the nines on the sequential. You can see that there's all like a spoof war going on. You got 50 down to 38, back to 50 on the sell side, and moving down against no liquidity on the buy side. All very dynamic. People are twitching. It's getting nuts. There's dust in the order book. I'm talking 0.2, 0.011, very small fractions of Bitcoin being bought, almost very few whole numbers. Though I see 1 Bitcoin whole numbers on the page here. So it looks like buyers really still aren't serious about buying at this price. And that's what I need to see in order to take a bullish outlook, a bullish scenario seriously. I need to see buyers stepping up to the plate. But right now, what we have is a very static area from about 93.70, maybe 93.80 and down, where there's little to no movement on that end. And we have dynamic sellers pushing the price. They are willing to sell. It like sellers are ready. Sellers, they're just, even though they're not selling, they're market selling. That 90 pack at 94.50 didn't just pull a sell and then you see a flash of 70 sell on the trade history. But right now it looks like the sellers are very dynamic. They're awake and they're willing to respond to any bullish action. And I don't see bulls willing to respond to any bearish action. They are just asleep, and it looks like they've rolled over for now. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but that's how you look at those supplement nines and supplement your analysis with something like the very fundamental things that analysts I think should look at more often, which are who's buying and selling and why. So I think it's looking pretty interesting right now. Very dynamic selling, little static buying, and when I tend to see this type of action, I lean bearish.
All right. Yeah, keeping an eye on the charts myself. I'm with you. I'm leaning bearish here as well on a longer term scale. But I know you're a big order book guy. I'm not, because the order book can change. Like if we go look at these charts, if you go look at the order book in 5 minutes, could look completely different, right? And that's why I trust the price action that has already happened and my probabilities of what is most likely to happen based on chart patterns. And I'm not a big order book guy, but the important thing about trading is this. 80 to 90% of your success as a trader is not your ability to do TA. It's your ability to manage money, be consistent, and understand what you're doing. So therefore, go back to yesterday's episode with Da Vinci. It doesn't matter if Da Vinci knows TA or not. As long as he understands money management, he'll be a great trader. And I have a webinar on money management that wasn't interesting to most people, and that's unfortunate. TA is only a small part. Knowing TA is great. Knowing how to not to blow up your account on a single bad trade is significantly more important.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Closing thoughts?
Never get liquidated. Never, under any circumstance, should any trader ever get liquidated. You can always come back with $100. You can't come back with zero.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all on the next podcast. Not sure when, not sure what, but I can assure you there will be another one soon. Maybe even today. Later, guys.